Welcome to Padel Smash Academy.
And we are all things paddle. Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Padel Smash Academy. Today we're going to be reviewing some great rackets. We're going to be starting with the Head Extreme Pro.
What did you think about this paddle, and what are the characteristics of this paddle? I guess let's go over that first.
Okay, so I'll give you, for me, I never played with head rackets. Probably because they haven't sponsored me, but I haven't played with them.
Or sponsors.
But for me, that racket is a Cadillac of rackets. It felt so smooth. It did everything perfect. From the walls to the forehands and backhands to the net to the bandejas, it was just flawless. It was a really, really good feeling on that racket.
So do you think that you're going to be switching from the Bella to that one?
It's all about the Benjamins. No, just kidding. It's a great racket. I can tell you that I'm going to be switching for contractual issues, but it's a great racket.
Because you're Bella's partner, right?
Exactly.
All right. So for myself is I love the racket so much that now I'm using it. So prior to that, we covered the Speed Pro X, which is here, which is, I would say, very similar. So if you're coming from the Alpha Pro and then you're going, let's say, to the Speed Pro X, I think this is perfect. It's like right in between, right? So I believe that the Speed Pro X is a little bit more powerful, a tad bit more heavier. I think the Extreme Pro is a good balance. It still get power, but you still have some control. And it's just a tad bit lighter. So I really love the paddle. I love the color. I love the design and everything. So I stayed with it, and I'm using it. And you noticed something really different about this paddle.
Very interesting.
That I didn't notice. Why don't you talk to me about that?
Probably nobody realized that, but if you see the holes, right, they're all different sizes. You have bigger holes where you can stick your finger. Usually you can't stick your finger in any of those holes. And then you have small holes on the same racket. I don't know if that, compared to the other frame, all the holes are exactly the same size. Mm-hmm. This one, they have different size holes. I don't know. It's probably because I'm sure it's not. It has been done with a purpose, and probably the playability has a big effect on this, or the aerodynamics to it.
Could be.
But for me, it was just a beautiful feeling with this racket. From the aerial game, the power, the softness, it was very, very interesting. But yeah, the holes are a big issue. We're trying to find out why the holes are different in size.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And if just let us know in the comments below.
Or if Head is watching this, please let us know, DM us, and let us know why the holes are different sizes and what was the purpose of it.
And I think you're right. I don't think it's per design. I think there's a functionality to it.
Yeah, it has to be a functionality for sure.
So let's go over the details of this paddle, the weight and the size. As you can see, it's a diamond type of paddle. The weight, it says here, 370 grams, and we weighed it, and it is exactly 370 grams. Now, if you're going to add another grip to it, you're going to add another 3 to 5 more grams.
So probably a little more.
It is, it's a little, on the heavier side, but you're going to get that power also on the top, and that's where the balance is. It is a 12K carbon, which is great, and it has a power foam. I would say that the foam is definitely powerful. I don't think it's as powerful as the Speed Pro X, and it's definitely not as powerful as the Head Delta.
No.
And maybe that's why you don't see Cuello, using it.
Yeah,
right
it has
now.
some softness to it, which gives you that extra pop in my case and my age group. For someone, a much more professional player, it gives him not so much, finesse on the shots. So we said it's diamond shape. Diamond shape means that the weight on the racket is on the top. When they're diamond shaped, that means that you have more leverage every time you hit. That will generate more power on your shots.
So this is more senior friendly, like a Julian, versus let's just say the Speed X, which is a little bit heavier, a little bit more stiffer.
Exactly.
So this is gonna give you a lot more help off the back wall, especially when it's really low. You know, but you might feel a little difference when you're doing a smash with this one and this one. This will come out a little bit faster. Overall, I really enjoyed and loved that paddle.
The good thing that the head rackets have is the shock absorption on the bottom of the grip, that you actually feel a difference every time they have this. It's not as it doesn't vibrate as much when you don't hit it on the sweet spot. So it really that helps a lot. The head rackets, they have done some. For the past few years, Head has come up with some really, really good frames.
Oh yeah, and the technology, and they're always innovating. They're always creating something new. So this right here was brought in 2022, I believe, and it's in most of their paddles. And the other thing you can kind of see is the bridge. You see the bridge is a little different there on their Speed X, and it changes the characteristics of the paddle.
Yeah.
Okay, I love the paddle. So Julian, how did you, rate this? I mean, from 1 to 10. I know there's different genres, but overall, how would you rate this 1 through 10?
From 1 to 10 overall, I will say, taking in consideration playability, the softness, the hardness, and all the overall performance, I will do, like I said before, is the Cadillac of the rackets, the way I felt it. I will do 9.7 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a
Wow.
racket. That's a baby that I like to have.
So the only thing holding you back is you're not wanting to spend the money to buy it, right? So somebody
Spending
gave
money
it to you,
or maybe Head coming over to us and giving it to me for free. That will be ideal.
so then you would use it, right?
will
Wow,
use it.
man.
Yes.
Wow, I'm there with you, man. I mean, it's right now my number 10. But if I was being non-biased, because obviously I use it and I've used the Speed X before, I would give it the same thing. I think a 9.7.
You can be you can be 10. The only 10
Yeah,
that
you
I
can't.
know is
That's
Messi,
right. Yep.
Lionel Messi.
So,
Okay,
but
so
my personal thing is 10, but I would agree with you. I'm gonna go around 9.7.
9.7.
You know,
Good.
so,
Way to go, baby.
Being non-biased.
Yes.
I think finally we agree on something. Okay, so let's go to the next paddle that we used and we want to review, and it's this very unique paddle.
very interesting.
And I'm not sure who their market is for this, and we're going to try to figure it out today. And that is going to be the Extreme 1. Very cool looking. As you can see, there's just one hole. And Julian, why don't you talk to our viewers about, the rules of the holes?
The rules of the holes. It's amazingly in this one, the Extreme Pro, you have different size, different shape holes actually. And this one, you have only one hole. Actually, there are no rules. You can have as many holes as you want or as little as one hole like it is this one.
So what he's saying is that you have to have at least one hole in your paddle.
Yes.
And if that rule wasn't there, they probably wouldn't have that hole there.
Yes, but after testing it on the court and all that,
Could you feel the difference? Of the
Huge
hole
difference.
Or holes or not holes? Not just the characteristics, but I mean just when you're swinging. Because that's the whole thing. People want to know, like, if I'm swimming here, obviously there's holes here, so I'm going to be able to move my pedal faster. Does it make a difference of moving your pedal faster or not by having holes or no holes?
Honestly, I didn't feel the difference, but it has to have some difference in the overall performance because I mean, basically, the faster you swing, the air will stop and will create some vibrations or also have movement. My feeling on this racket, it's if that was the Cadillac, this is the Hyundai Sonata. Okay.
This is a very expensive paddle. Too,
yes, but sexy looking paddle. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can have a beautiful paddle next to you, but if you play with it, I mean, for me, I didn't like it. I mean, I prefer that one 100 times better. It was too soft. I didn't feel the ball quite well. What was your feelings on the racket?
When I first saw it, it said to me it was 345 grams, which is light. And it said it had a power foam. So I'm like really excited here. You know, you get power and you get the lightness because when you get the lightness, you can swing faster, of course, you know? And if you got the power, it's gonna come out very fast, right? So I was hoping this was gonna be an aggressive type of paddle. And so when I used it, I was, disappointed based on my characteristics of playing. I'm different than you and everybody else. So
well, you've been called the Tapia of the 80s, right? From
yes.
the 80s generation, but
thank you for that. But I mean, I just I use this, and it just is a little too soft for me. You know, this is very light, so you're going to be able to move faster. I didn't feel the difference with the holes or having only one hole, because generally your swings are shorter. They're not like tennis where you're doing a full swing. You know, they're shorter. But when you're gonna go smash, right, or even if you're gonna do a vibra where you have to swing it around really fast, you do feel the difference, and you are going to feel the difference if you're someone who smashes a lot, because you're going to get a little drag on this. And then the other thing is it's just a little too soft. So if I'm in the back and I'm getting a low ball, yeah, I can get over it, and it's going to help me a little bit. But generally, when I'm doing a forehand or backhand, or it's just too empty. It sounds like an empty paddle, and I can always tell by the sound, obviously, and the touch first, if it's soft or not. So I'm not really a player that plays with a soft paddle. More of like a power foam, not super power like Delta, but just a little bit below. And that's why I like the Pro better, the Extreme Pro better. But for me, this is not for me. I mean, I bought it because I said they're power foam, and I guess maybe power foam is the type of foam they have, but it's not a firm foam. I do like the lightness of it. So, I mean, I'm very fast on my hands, and, I'm not going to get tired after a while. So for me, it's not for me. And I guess that's a good question. And maybe that's a question for you. Who is this paddle for? Who would you suggest this paddle for?
I will say low intermediate players and high beginner players, I think will be this ideal racket. Women players too, or all the ladies out there, because it's very light and very soft. Mm-hmm. I think will be ideal for that type of player. Now, if you're a more 4.0 or 3.5, 4.0 or 5.0 type of player that, you have the aggressive game and all that, this one, I don't think it will be recommended or, for that type of level of playing.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So let's talk about the specs a little bit.
Sure.
So this one is diamond shape, as you know. Diamond shape means the head of the weight, it's on the top. 345 grams, much lighter than the other one, which was 375. The head size is the same. Then we have the balance at 275, and pretty much everything else is the same as a racket.
So let's talk about weight, right? Because I don't think people understand the difference in weight. At first when they go to use it, maybe some beginners, intermediate, may not really understand how it affects your game, right? Later on, as you get more experience, you'll realize, the weight and how it affects your game. Number one is the lighter paddle is going to be easier to swing, of course. It's going to be, but it's not going to come out as fast. So this is for players that are, let's just say, not really hitting hard. They're more trying to place that ball, with more control, and their swing is maybe a little slower, right? And they're having difficulty holding that paddle, so they tend to try to hold the paddle up here a little higher to compensate for the weight, which you shouldn't be doing anyways. You should be helping with your left hand, but this is going to be a lot lighter holding like this, than a heavy racket. Now you're looking at 20 grams, maybe 25 grams, but it doesn't seem like a lot, but it makes a difference when you're playing, let's say 1-2 hours. It does make a difference. And if you're fatigued because you don't have the strength, you're not going to be in the right position, you're not going to have the right stroke, and then you're going to make more errors.
Yes.
So for me, this is somebody who, like you suggested, maybe a petite, women that is maybe doesn't have that strength too much, or somebody who is, more control. Okay. And that's what they're focused on, control, defending in the back, off the back wall. They're not really playing that aggressive. They're not, maybe they do bandejas, but maybe not víboras, and definitely not smashes. Not to say that you can't do that with this, but it'll take more effort because obviously you're going to have to hit a little more harder to compensate for the softer foam.
Yes. And I will say for you guys to understand too, remember that we have 3 types of head shapes, the diamond head, the teardrop, and then the round. And all those 3 different shapes have different weights. So the diamond shape has all the way to the top. So if you don't have a good strength, eventually that head of the racket will still make a big difference every time you swing. So that's why it's also interesting for you guys to understand that concept, that the weight is important, but also how the weight is distributed on the racket. It could be more centralized right to the bottom, or to the top, or right to the middle for the teardrop rackets. So that's something to consider before purchasing a racket. What we tell everyone before purchasing a racket, try it before. If you can, try it, because 100%. Spending $300+ on a racket is not cheap. But our recommendation is always try it out first. We have different places here in Miami where you can try it. One of those is Casas Padel. Padel Nuestro is opening soon. They will have a huge selection of rackets that you can try it out. So we highly recommend those places.
Or even better, just come see one of us.
Yes.
Say, hey, look, what do you think about this paddle? Or, this is my style of playing. Where should I go? And he made a good point about the weight on the top, right? So let's just say you're going with a paddle that is, 370, right? And you have difficulty, holding that paddle. You may want to consider a round paddle. Which brings that weight a little bit more towards the center. This is going to help you out. So these are all the characteristics of paddles that, Julian and myself could guide you on. So if you come in and say, this is what I do, this is how I play, and say, hey, well, check out these few different types of paddles.
Yeah.
And at least you're guiding in the right place. The worst thing is to buy a paddle for, like you said, $300, because they're expensive. It's a good quality paddle. And you kind of buy the wrong paddle because your style really is not that style. And then, you're there to try to help the paddle, the racket's there to try to help you improve your game, not make it more difficult, right?
Exactly.
Right. Okay. So all in all, I think, where do you rate this 1 through 10? And, I try to be as most biased as possible, because even though I don't, it's not for me, but I have to think of who is this for, right? And then within those categories, is this a good paddle for them? So what do you think, 1 through 10?
Paddle is good. I mean, for a certain level of player, from 1 to 10, me personally, that's my own rating. And for the level of play I'm playing, I will give it at 8.2.
Wow, you're pretty generous, huh?
Pretty generous today.
Yeah,
Feeling
you
good,
are.
Feeling good.
For myself is, I would probably have to give it a 6 for me. I just think that, I think they focus on, creating a unique paddle, but I think it limits, who they're marketing to, who actually is going to use this. I'm not sure. In this category, there's other paddles that are lighter and maybe a little bit better, and that's kind of how I look at it. So I'm giving it a 6.
A 6.
Yeah.
That's pretty brutal.
Yeah, I just don't see a lot of people, using that paddle. But like I said, in that category, there's other paddles that I think are a little bit better. That could be lighter, or at least a round-headed paddle if you're having difficulty with the heaviness. I think are just a little bit better, especially for that price point.
I give you gotta be. This guy is very, very honest. And for one thing, we're not a sponsor. I mean, he hasn't given us these rackets and all that. this guy purchased their racket out of his own pocket. He's paying $300+ for this, and he's giving it a 6 rating.
I know.
His honesty, it's pretty standard. Let me tell you,
it is not standard. It is up here. So I am probably going to sell it. So if you want to try to use it, that's fine. And there is a small market for it. But,
there is. Yeah,
but
for sure.
let's go over price, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is about 360, 365, which is very, very expensive.
Yeah.
Very, very expensive.
Yeah.
And I believe this is a little bit less. I think it's around 300 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I believe this is a better paddle.
Yeah.
I think for somebody more advanced.
Yeah, superior player and all that. I mean, I really love that racket.
Yeah, it's a great racket. I want to see you use it. We can match. When we play, we can match. You know what I'm saying? All right, thanks guys again for joining us at Padel Smash Academy. We're always here to share and kind of give you our opinions and reviews on these rackets. So I'll see you next time on the court.
Thank you. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications.
And remember, it's free $99. It doesn't cost you anything to hit that subscribe button.
Thanks for tuning in to Padel Smash Academy. We hope you'll find our videos informative, helpful in improving your game and learning all things paddle.
So until next time, keep improving your game. And remember, learn, play, and share.